The laughter came first, sharp and careless, bouncing off the polished marble floors of the bank like it belonged there more than he did. Ethan Cole stood at the counter with his worn jacket pulled tight around his shoulders, the smell of old rain clinging to him, and asked in a quiet, steady voice if he could check his balance. It was such a small request, such an ordinary thing, yet the way the teller's smile twisted and the way a nearby manager raised an eyebrow turned that simple moment into humiliation. To them, he was just another struggling single dad wasting their time. None of them could see that this was the same man whose name was tied to $47 million that would soon silence the entire room. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of people who keep going when life keeps pushing them down, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter because people like Ethan exist everywhere. Ethan hadn't always looked this way. There was a time when his clothes fit better, when his shoulders were lighter, and when walking into a bank didn't feel like stepping onto a stage where he was the punchline. 3 years earlier, life had collapsed in a way he never saw coming. His wife, Lily, the center of their small, noisy world, had been taken by an illness that moved faster than fear. Overnight, Ethan became a single father to their 6-year-old son Noah, a boy with curious eyes and a laugh that still sounded like sunlight even on the darkest days. Grief didn't arrive gently. It came with bills, with sleepless nights, with the crushing pressure of being everything for a child while feeling completely empty inside. Work became a struggle. Ethan had been a systems analyst for a mid-sized tech firm, the kind of job that paid well but demanded more hours than he could give. Hospital visits, school, pickups, nights sitting beside Noah's bed when nightmares came, made him unreliable in the eyes of management. Eventually, the polite warnings turned into apologies, and the apologies turned into a cardboard box of desk items and a final paycheck. From that moment on, survival became the only goal. He took freelance work, odd contracts, anything that allowed him to be home when Noah needed him, even if it meant scraping by. The bank visit that day was not about ambition or pride. It was about groceries, rent, and whether he could afford new shoes for Noah, whose feet seemed to grow faster than Ethan's ability to keep up. The card he slid across the counter was scuffed, the edges worn smooth from years of use. The teller typed, paused, and glanced up with a look that mixed confusion and amusement. A supervisor leaned closer, their whisper not nearly as quiet as they thought. Ethan felt the familiar heat rise in his chest, that old shame that came from being judged before a single word was spoken. He kept his posture calm because Noah was at school and didn't need to see this, and because anger had never paid a bill. He waited as they checked again, as the computer screens refreshed, as the air shifted from mocking to uneasy. What none of them knew was that this account wasn't tied to his daily life. It was a place he had stopped checking years ago, a corner of his past he barely believed in anymore. Long before Lily got sick, Ethan had poured his nights into an idea. It started as a way to solve a problem he kept seeing in corporate networks, a smarter, faster security protocol that adapted instead of reacting. While others slept, he coded, tested, failed, and tried again. Lily had believed in it fiercely, often reminding him that some things took time to grow. When Noah was born, the project went into storage, replaced by diapers, midnight feedings, and laughter echoing down hallways. Eventually, Ethan forgot about it altogether. What he didn't know was that the small open-source fragment he released years ago had quietly spread. Developers across the world built on it, refined it, and one day, a major cybersecurity firm traced the core architecture back to his name. While Ethan was learning how to stretch meals and cut coupons, lawyers were untangling patents and usage rights. The letter had arrived months earlier, buried under hospital paperwork and school notices. He had opened it late one night, exhausted, and almost laughed at the numbers, assuming it was a mistake. He never followed up. Life felt too heavy for hope. Back in the bank, the manager's face drained of color as the system finally caught up with reality. $47 million sat quietly in Ethan's account, untouched, growing, waiting. The mocking smiles disappeared, replaced by stiff posture and sudden respect that felt just as uncomfortable. Ethan didn't feel victorious. He felt tired. Wealth didn't erase the years of struggle or the nights Noah cried for his mother. It didn't give him back the man he used to be. But it did something else. It gave him space to breathe. Word spread quickly through the bank, the atmosphere shifting as if the building itself had realized its mistake. Apologies came wrapped in formal language and forced smiles, but Ethan accepted none of it emotionally. He simply nodded, completed what he came for, and left. Outside, the city felt louder, brighter, almost unreal. He sat in his car for a long time, hands resting on the steering wheel, letting the truth settle in. That money didn't turn Ethan into someone new. It revealed who he had always been. The first changes were quiet. Bills paid on time, Noah's shoes replaced before they wore through, a refrigerator that wasn't half empty. Then came bigger decisions. Ethan took Noah to see the ocean for the first time, watching his son's feet sink into sand while laughter carried on the wind. He set up college funds, not just for Noah, but for children in similar situations, kids raised by parents who never gave up. He returned to the tech world on his own terms, funding programs that taught coding to single parents and underserved communities, remembering how close he had come to losing everything simply because life didn't allow him to fit into a rigid system. He never forgot the looks in that bank, not out of bitterness, but as a reminder of how easily people are dismissed based on appearances. One afternoon, months later, Ethan passed that same bank. Through the glass, he saw the same counters, the same polished floors. He didn't go in. He didn't need to. His balance was no longer something measured in dollars, but in peace, purpose, and the way Noah ran toward him after school with arms wide open. Stories like Ethan's aren't about money. They're about endurance. They're about the quiet dignity of showing up every day even when the world underestimates you. They remind us that behind every tired face is a story we haven't heard yet, and that kindness costs nothing but can change everything. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can be told. Before the ending, I'd love to ask you one special thing. Please comment below and share whether you've ever been judged before anyone truly knew your story. Ethan's life didn't become perfect, but it became honest. And sometimes that's the greatest balance anyone can ever have.